Joe List.
All right, keep it basement here. Joe List. He's got a new special on YouTube, I Hate Myself, of course, of Tuesdays with Stories with Mark Norman, who we've had on a couple times. Yeah, thanks so much for doing this, Joe, out next to a highway at 22 West in Bridgewater, New Jersey. I've never been here. And, yeah, this might be a very bad setting, but thank you so much for doing it.
No, it's cool. I like it. Is this menu in the way? It feels like it's like right in the face.
No, dude.
But yeah, thanks for having me. This is great. It's exciting. There's cars whizzing by. It's chilly.
It's hard to gauge if you're like Norman, because Norman will just he'll do anything. Like, he's so cool.
Yeah, it's so funny. We just recorded today, and I was like, stop asking me to do your fucking podcast. I'm not doing a podcast. But this is nice because we're here. It's here.
Yeah, well, we just try to make it, it's not ideal, but we try to make it as simple as possible for the headliner, because it's like, you're not going to come to our studio, so it's like, let me just fucking literally just get in and get out.
Right.
You know, make it easy.
And this is good because my wife's about to go on, so it's nice to be out here.
Exactly.
Kind of away from earshot.
Yeah, Sarah Talamash is also here. Yeah, man, the special was hilarious.
Thank you.
I don't know where to start. I know that the YouTube specials are a trend now, kind of. Sam started, then Mark,
yeah.
You, I think Ted, Alexandra did one. You know, people are starting to do it. And I just want to ask you, because I know you from the podcast, I'm a Tuesday. He doesn't know much about it, but I know you're an anxious guy.
Yes.
And with how we're working now, with Corona, I just want to ask how it's been, how it's affected you.
It's been okay. I mean, like, for me, it's, I don't know. It's out of our control. I do whatever you're supposed to do. I wear a mask inside, outside. I feel like we're fine from what it seems like. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. Early on, I was fucked up. I was like, 'cause I live in Queens, and I was like, okay, I guess we're all going to get it. We're all going to die. It's going to be a whole thing. And then after a couple months, and now I'm like, I don't want it. I still don't want to get it. I don't want to spread it, but it seems like I think we're fine. You're going to live your life, so, you know, it's fine.
Not to make this a therapy session, but, like, starting out as a comedian, how is the anticipatory anxiety? Because that's one of the things that, like, happens to me where, say when you wake up and you got a show at night, you're just ready. That anxiety is, like, all day adrenaline, ready for the show. Like, how do you balance that out? Like, you know, you open up for Louis, you're on Rogan, you talk about you're pacing around before Rogan. How does that work out where you don't deplete your energy and you're cool and, like, chill?
It's interesting. Now, I don't have too much, like, show anxiety anymore. My anxiety is more I'm going to die, or we're going to, like, climate change and fucking...
fall through this?
Yeah, that doesn't bother me either. It's weird. Sometimes I just have, like, real general anxiety. Or the dentist. I went to the dentist yesterday. That makes me want to kill myself.
Yeah,
and that drains all my energy.
Yeah, my blood pressure goes up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. Blood pressure, I'm afraid of cancer and, you know, whatever. But shows, I never got too anxious. I talked about this before, but, like, my anxiety was more to not do comedy. The idea of just being we talked about Springsteen before.
Yeah.
It was like that feeling of just getting stuck in the mundane, shitty life. So that anxiety to me was greater. Like, living a meaningless life is greater than whatever a stage
like having
thing.
a purpose, yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought that travel, though, could be a little rough, though. You know what I mean? Like, you get on the plane, you got to do the show at night. But I don't know, I'm kind of weird, too, as well, in a different way.
Yeah, that doesn't give me anxiety too much. I don't know. My family gives me anxiety, I think. The dentist, cancer, that kind of shit. The show is whatever.
No, yeah. I mean, you've been doing it 20 years. I figured a show anxiety's kind of gone. But it's funny you bring up the Springsteen line, because I was listening to you on Maron, also on Mark Maron, WTF, and you brought that up. And that's, like, that getting anxiety from that, I feel like the everyday person doesn't get anxiety from that, because I just think that's what you're supposed to do. It's kind of like you get anxiety, like you said, about others, you know, more kind of eternal stuff, dying or cancer, like scary shit like that.
Yeah, my anxiety is like more like,
Family.
am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing push-ups right now? Should I be meditating right now? Should I be fucking writing? I have a lot of anxiety of, like, I should have wrote a movie. I should be auditioning for things.
Right.
My career stinks or whatever. Should I have said yes to this? You know, that kind of thing.
So how was back opening with Louis? How was the Stress Factory?
Stress Factory was great. I mean, working with Louis is nice because, first of all, he pays really well, and you do like 10 minutes. So, like, going back to, like, the anxiety thing, like this show, I'm about to headline this show. I'm trying not to do stuff on the special, so I got like 35 minutes of material.
Right.
So I gotta figure out like another 10.
Right.
So I kind of like gotta stretch a little bit. So that's a little bit over. But doing 10 with him is fun because I can fuck around a little bit. And
Right.
I'm at a point now with Louis where I'm not like,
No,
it doesn't feel like an audition. I don't, you know, fuck him.
I was just going to talk about you were talking about on Rogan with Louis how he has that computer where he doesn't have the internet for
Yes,
writing.
yeah.
How's the writing process go for you now? Because you were saying it's a distraction a lot of the times, looking at porn, jerking off, and stuff like that. Well, you and Rogan were talking about that, and I was just figuring, how does the writing process work along that lines? Like any advice from Louis and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't write as much as I should probably. COVID has made it weird because for me, the reason I feel like prolific is because I'm like, I got to come up with something to do. I can't do the same jokes again. I'm just sick of my shit. And that comes from doing a weekend of work where you're doing 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, 1 show Sunday. So you're like, I got to come up with some shit because that's what's fun. But now we're doing shows. I'm doing maybe 3 shows a week. I go a week without doing a show. So it's harder to write for me when I'm like, I don't even know when there's going to be a show. We're about to shut down again. So, but yeah, I try to write. I sit down listening to sets is how I do most of the writing. I'll riff on stage, record it, and then listen to it. There's like a 7-year-old girl walking by, which is a weird moment in a podcast.
Yeah, guys, for anyone
she's
listening,
hot.
we are next to a highway in a patch of mulch.
Do you type on the computer or do you write it out?
No, I write on like a piece of paper, yeah. Or the phone a little bit. My phone notes. There's a lot of shit in there.
Voice it or no?
I never do that. I'll try it on stage and then listen to that later.
Yeah, that's cool.
I want to promote the podcast Tuesdays with Stories. It's literally the funniest podcast. I also want to promote what you're always saying on Tuesdays. You never promote it. I don't know if there's a specific reason for that, if because it's you by yourself. But he has another podcast, Mindful Metal Jacket, which is I guess more anxiety. Maybe it's more personal stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. Great car, guys.
Oh, I thought that was a motorcycle. It's like
It's even worse.
a Volkswagen Chevy Spark or some shit. I mean,
That's beyond obnoxious,
that's
annoying.
hilarious. If we didn't tell you, we're in New Jersey.
We're in New Jersey, yeah. It's not looked bright upon, but it's a little bit above Staten Island.
I do love New Jersey, by the way. I think it gets wrongfully
I do hear you. I
shit
hear
on.
you say that. I know you're a Bruce guy. And I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of comics from New Jersey, and I was like, Joe List respects New Jersey. Other people hate it. Norman's done one at Danny Braff show. Didn't go too hot. He walked a woman.
Okay, that's
But
fair.
He was hilarious.
I just think Jersey is like beautiful. Everyone, it gets so many jokes. Hey, what exit? And like the highway, and then there's like the gas fire thing there, and but I mean it is the Garden State for a reason. There's like
people
tons of
only
parks.
see-
And,
Kind of like a low-key melting pot. Everyone, a little bit of everything there. You know what I mean?
Everyone only sees up by New York online. You go down to Belmar, you go out to West Jersey or South Jersey, the Pine Barrens. It's freaking gorgeous.
yeah, and the most densely populated state.
Yep.
Is a hot
Very.
fact.
True. I was talking about Mindful Metal Jacket
yeah.
and just podcasts in general because, like, I see you utilizing your YouTube channel more. Of course, you did the special, and I wanted to ask if that's just because of COVID and the pandemic, or if you actually think that's just another a smarter route to go right now in terms of just kind of putting out as much content as you can while you can't do stand-up.
Yeah, I should be better about that. A lot of people are doing that. I mean, the podcast, I started doing it right before COVID. The second podcast, Mindful Metal Jacket, I wanted to do because I'm like, it's kind of because of Marin. I was listening to that show, and I was like, I want to have
Great
conversations like this. And that's what I'm interested in talking about is anxiety and therapy and mindfulness. I'm really fascinated about all that stuff. So, and I also like, it sounds whatever, but I also thought like maybe I could help some people with this and get it out to a bunch of people.
What's interesting is Cypher Sounds. I interviewed him recently, Cypher Sounds, and he said he has fans everywhere. And it's like you could have did a podcast and incorporate all that in one, but I think you're doing the right thing where you have multiple different podcasts with different topics because you'd have different audiences everywhere spread out. Like you might get a anxiety type audience, and then with Tuesdays you get a bunch of comedy fans.
Well, that's another thing is like we rail about it a lot on Tuesdays. I hate these comedians and shit that go on Twitter and they're like, we need to change the administration or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, I agree, but I'm like, can you throw a joke in there? I mean, so that's why with this podcast I wanted to go, all right, over here I'm going to be talking about this, and there are jokes on it. It's funny. I mean, I talk to comedians, so it's naturally funny, but I like the idea of being like, all right, we're going to talk mental health, some serious kind of shit here, but a little bit light. And then obviously Tuesdays is sort of outrageous.
Tuesdays is hilariously outrageous. You got more anxiety?
Well, I always have anxiety, but what's interesting is you said like you didn't want to do the corporate life, the 9-to-5 job, but like any normal person would get anxiety about like dumb shit, and like you going on stage is such a pressure situation where you're probably shitting bricks the first time, but then you got used to it. How does that transition work, like for someone with anxiety and stuff?
I don't know. Well, again, like
Not to
my
bring it
anxiety, no, my anxiety's always been like, most anxiety I think is like a feeling of being out of control. And on stage it feels like you're, for the most part, mostly in control, especially as you get more time in and skilled, I'm pretty confident. I'm like, this is probably going to go pretty well.
Yeah.
I do get anxious with any kind of confrontation. So like this show, there was a couple guys in the back doing like mock laugh, and so I just want to smash their face through the fucking door.
Okay.
But I try to, and that's what made me be like, let me go out here and do this so I don't have to deal with that.
Okay.
So if there's like a heckler situation, I am like, this could suck. I hate that. But for the most part, I'm like, I'll go up there. I know what I'm going to say. Anything I don't know what I'm going to say will go fine, and it'll probably go fine.
Yeah, I mean, you've been been doing it long. You opened for like Louis DiPaolo. It's kind of more like a rhythm experience thing to not be worried about that. But like you said, going back to the podcast Tuesdays with Stories with Mark, it's if you guys are not Tuesdays, it's just jokes, and it's hilarious, absurd jokes, and you guys bounce off each other perfectly. But like I was just wondering more so. The fact that you started Mindful, I could be completely spitballing here, but Mark is such a like. Joke, always joking, hilarious, wild, will do anything, say hilarious, crazy shit. And you definitely do that on the podcast. But I don't know if you stepped away from that when you're doing, like, other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it is a thing of, like, obviously I love the podcast, and I love doing it. It's my favorite thing to do. It's the funnest thing to do, and it makes me laugh my ass off, obviously. But there is a thing of, like, yeah, like I also like talking about other shit, and obviously we do our sort of Seinfeldian thing, and I'm talking about I want to eat cum and stuff. But you also I do like having more serious conversations. So, and I also, like I said, I'm like I do want to be somewhat of service because I've been through this anxiety, panic, and people will message me because I mentioned it on Tuesdays. I'm like, let me just do a whole thing talking about this shit.
Yeah, I was actually going to say a porn star Lisa Ann told me anxiety gets better with age and to smoke weed. But what's the best things that helped with you? I know yoga, you're talking about meditation. Any other things that people might not know about?
Yeah, I'm a big meditation guy. The Waking Up app, Sam Harris has an app called Waking Up, which you can get for free.
Yeah.
You just email him and ask him for it free. And that really helps me a lot. I do a daily meditation. I'm also like a sober guy, so I'm sort of actively sober. And it's all, and I go to therapy. Therapy, meditation, and sobriety, like the three things that really changed my life.
Exercise or not really?
I'm a big exercise guy too. I started doing mixed martial arts a while ago, and that helps a little bit. And
do you think comedy in a way is a form of therapy and podcasting?
Oh, for sure. I mean, comedy, if I didn't have comedy, I would probably, I don't know, I probably would have killed myself at some point.
Not good.
Yeah,
Okay.
So don't.
Oh yeah. Also,
Don't kill yourself.
before I give it to Tom, let him ask the remainder of the questions. I was just wondering about your stomach because I got stomach issues too. And what happened? What happened with like all that stuff going on? I know I eat the chipotle. That shit is brutal. The sauce. Even salmon gets me. I was gonna tell you. You said you eat salmon. It's healthy. If you like use like certain garlics or spices, it fucks you up more too.
Yeah, I mean, I actually just was starving and I just ate a cheeseburger and fries, and I can feel like I'm gonna be doing that the whole show, and I really just hate myself for doing it. But what happens with me? And this is probably everybody, the longer that you wait to eat and the hungrier you are, the more you eat shit. Because I'm like, fuck it, just give me a burger, dude.
Always.
So I fucked up on that one.
Help with that, like drinking water or
Yeah, water. I mean, a big thing for me was anxiety. I thought I was going to get esophageal cancer. I was freaking out. And then I realized I'm like, oh, my throat just hurts a little bit.
I was gonna say like because like the stomach, like the gut's important with anxiety. If you eat healthy and take probiotics and all that.
Yeah.
They go back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
The mind and the gut. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm bad with that. I eat like shit. I hate myself.
I hate myself on YouTube.
Yes, that's the name of the special.
All right, Sarah's on stage. I don't want to keep you too long. Joe, I mean, we thank you so much. It's been quick. I'm sure we could have done 3 hours, but he's got to go on stage, guys. I hate myself on YouTube. You got Tuesdays with Stories with Mark Norman. You got Mindful Metal Jacket. You listen to him on Rogan, WTF. Joe List, anything else. He likes New Jersey. He's a Springsteen fan and a Pearl Jam fan. Yeah, any last words to close it out?
Any words of wisdom? I would say acceptance, and this is your life. You're in it. Be in the moment and enjoy yourself, and watch the special I Hate Myself on YouTube.
Watch it, guys. This is Keep It Basement with Joe List. Catch him out at Joe List Comedy, or Joe List, comedianjoelist.com.
Yes.
For all his shows, and thank you so much, Joe. Again, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Thank you.
Shout out to Joe List. Shout out Fleshlight. We got the Quick Shot Pulse, and here's a flush for Joe List for coming on the Keep It Basement podcast.
Thank you. Happy to have it. I've never had one. This is great. I'll bring it on the road. Fuck it.